I love buying things from auctions. You see, I spend a lot of time on the computer watching auctions all over the country and all over the world. Buying and selling things from auctions is what really helped me get my start building my business. I buy a lot of stuff and cycle it in and out of here quite often. And in the early days of my business, I did this pretty much all day, every day, until I figured out a way to be able to make this my full-time job. But today's video is not about me trying to convince you that I'm not a hoarder. Today's video is to show you how much money you can make if you just take a little bit of time and finding things that you can buy and resell. There is all kinds of deals to be had. You just gotta be looking, you gotta know where to look, and that's what we're gonna get into right now. Guys, I just spent $27,000 at a government auction on a bunch of old surplus items, and I'm about to show you exactly what I got and how I'm gonna use this investment to either double or even triple my money. The crazy thing about auctions is you can buy just about anything. I've purchased things as cheap as a $5 set of hand tools all the way up to a Blackhawk that costs a few $1 million. The US government is constantly getting rid of old equipment. And a lot of the equipment that they sell is stuff that was just overstock, meaning it was a new piece of equipment and they never used it. It just sat in a pile, but it never went anywhere. It's this vehicle that's 10 years old, but it has like 200 miles on it. This is valuable information that could change your life and drastically increase your income and your overall happiness. On the back of this truck, we have 3 different items. We've got a little mini excavator, we've got a grass grapple fork for a skid loader, and then over there, we have a tactical robot. I got the list right here, and 2024 skid steer heavy duty grass grapple fork. Mini excavator is a 2024 FF Industrial FF12 mini excavator, and the tactical robot is a Foster Miller MTRS Talon 4 tactical robot. It's like what law enforcement, military, they use to be able to like open doors and approach bombs and different things like that. So there's some really cool stuff on here. The other 2 items that I bought are outside because they're huge vehicles, and we'll get to those in a second. So there's a couple different ways that you can pay for your items that you purchased at the auction: a wire transfer or credit card.
Do you have credit card debt?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I got some credit card debt. Yeah.
Guys, here's the problem about debt. You see, a lot of people get debt, whether it's a credit card, medical bills, collections, you name it. There's all sorts of different ways to get into debt. And a lot of people will just take and make the minimum monthly payment every single month to be able to try to service that debt. But the issue with that is you never get ahead. That's why PDS Debt, the sponsor of today's video, is very important, so you should listen up.
Have you tried PDS?
No, haven't tried PDS. I'm gonna get to it.
One of the most important things about PDS Debt is that it's a top-rated company on Google, and it has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, which, believe it or not, is really hard to accomplish. Guys, here's the thing. We all have debt in some form or another. Some of us have a little, some of us use our credit cards really responsibly, and some of us have fallen on hard times, which means you have to use your credit card or personal loans or...
How long have you been in debt?
Hello? Yeah, no, I'm not busy.
So do you have a plan to get out of debt?
Next question.
You need to click the link in my description below and go to pdsdebt.com/sparks and get your free debt analysis today. Thank you, PDS Debt, for sponsoring today's video. You see, there's auctions all over the country, and there are some auctions that are only for car dealers, there are some auctions that are only for equipment dealers, and then there's some auctions that are kind of public and open for everybody. But regardless, anywhere that you go to open an account to buy on an online auction, especially some of these online government auctions, you just go to the website, just create an account, and you got access to bidding on pretty much everything. Usually anything that's like $50,000 or more, they'll require you to put some sort of bid deposit down, and that could range anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000. Essentially, it's just a way to make sure that people aren't wasting their time. Remember, when you buy stuff on an online auction, you don't get to go, physically inspect it. You're just banking on all the pictures they give you.
What are your thoughts on Dave buying so much from auctions?
I think it's safe to say it's an issue. Like, it's a problem. Like, it's an addiction for him for sure. However, he makes money doing it, so can't blame him. I just think it's a little out of control.
Now, the government sites usually do a pretty good job at getting a lot of great pictures in there, so you have a pretty good idea of what you're buying, but there are always surprises. Some of the surprises are really good surprises, meaning a truck has like no miles on it or it's got a brand new engine, and some of them are bad surprises, meaning you buy a truck and it doesn't have an engine or it's missing parts and pieces. The grapple fork is new, the mini excavator is new, the robot is lightly used, I believe. Nice thing about military stuff, the military is big on packaging because they've obviously got serious logistics they have to figure out. So if you got to ship this thing overseas or whatever, you know, you can't just have a robot kicking around in the cargo plane. It's got to be on a pallet, it's got to be in boxes. So it looks like box number 1 consists of kind of all the parts, pieces, components. Whoa, here's the remote. Jeez, look at this remote. This is a beefy remote. What's crazy is I paid $2,500 for this whole set.
Probably has like 2 hours of use.
Yep. That's usually how it goes. The robot that I purchased from this most recent auction is a Foster Miller tactical robot. It's basically used by the military to disarm IEDs and bombs and different things like that. It basically puts the robot in harm's way rather than the operator or an actual human being.
Never send a man when you can send a machine. We've done over 30,000 missions over in Iraq with the Talon robot, and there's been several robots that have actually gotten blown up, and we picked up the parts, went back to the shop, put it back together, and put it right back out into action.
These robots, brand new, sell for about $120,000, and used, I've seen them pretty much anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000, and most of those are without batteries, so you gotta, you know, throw on another couple $1,000s for batteries. So the fact that I'm into this robot about $3,000 and now another $1,000 for batteries, I'll be into it $4,000, but I'll have a robot that I can sell for $8,000 or $9,000.
Will this fetch me drinks?
I think so. I think that's actually what it's made to do.
If this fetches me a drink, it'll be your best purchase. Oh, wow.
How many drinks do you go through in a day?
That's between me and the man upstairs. You don't need to know.
It's got some use on it, but it looks to be in pretty decent shape.
Hey, go get a ton of AA batteries.
Here we have the Grapple hand. This kind of sticks out and you can use it to like open doors and things.
Is this bomb-proof?
I don't know yet. Let's find out. Here we have ourselves a tactical robot that I'm gonna sit here and fumble around with for a minute because I'm not 100% sure how it goes together, but.
Do things from the military auction come with instructions ever?
No, but the nice thing is government contracts require the vendors to put public information out about certain things. So you can usually find manuals online for this kind of stuff. I've not looked for a manual for this yet, although I probably should before I start getting too crazy, but I just want to try turning it on.
Yeah,
Does Dave normally read the directions on stuff?
I think there's an option somewhere on the checkout process when it comes to the military auctions. It's like, do you want instructions? And no. So then everything comes without instructions.
Typically when you purchase a military vehicle from the auction, it doesn't come with an owner or operator's manual. So you got to use some common sense and then you got to use some Google sense. I just don't know where the battery goes. This thing's wild. Sorry, bud.
Looks very well built.
Yeah, it's very commercial duty.
Is it cable or is it remote battery? We don't know that even.
Do not know. I'm gonna assume
Pepsi can probably sits right there.
this box doesn't have any cables coming out of it. I'm hoping it's remote controlled. What auction's the best? They're all different. It depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for military surplus items, you're gonna wanna go to the government like GovPlanet, GSA, GovDeals, Public Surplus. Those are all basically items that have to be sold through an auction because it's a government item and the way they process those things, they can't just sell them privately without giving everybody a chance to bid on them because technically all those items were purchased with our tax dollars, so we all get a fair shot at buying it. I also love heavy equipment auctions. Ritchie Brothers is a great auction. I like the Mannheim auto auctions. In order to sign up for an auto auction, you have to be a licensed auto dealer in whatever state you're in. In order to sign up for some of these government surplus auctions and smaller auctions, you can just go to their site, create an account, and boom, you're in. So I would definitely check out Gov Liquidation, GovPlanet, and GovDeals, because those are all pretty solid sites.
If I was a betting man, I'd say this whole reel would be that small, no?
I think they would put the battery on the actual unit itself.
Yeah, right there. Or self-destruct mode?
Some sort of tether, maybe. What's with the fishing pole?
I think that is probably like you put
It must go guide off of this and that.
this wire runs through there.
Yeah.
Well, here, does it plug in right here?
That probably goes right there. That's the antenna.
Hey, one piece.
Piece. Oh, is it missing the batteries?
No.
Got a bunch of battery slots that are empty. So it's got battery compartments. Do you see any batteries? I feel like this is an item that I'm probably gonna need to get a manual, download it, and read through it to be able to understand because there's like 100 different cables that have to be plugged into different places and sensors, and it's just a high-tech piece of equipment that I've never used before. So thankfully, right here, on the internet. I've got videos, I've got pictures, I've got manuals, I got everything I could possibly need to get that robot up and running and get the maximum value out of it. Which brings me to my next point. I looked on eBay earlier and just wanted to get an idea of what's available out on the market. And looking right here, there's one that's almost identical to mine. It's actually not in as good a condition, and it doesn't have as many attachments, and it doesn't have any batteries, and they are asking $7,000 for it. And there's a lot of people watching this listing. So being able to put $1,000 into mine, be into it 3-4 grand, I'm selling that thing for 8 or 9 grand all day. So I will definitely double my money on the robot if I do it right. The robot might need a little bit of studying. Might have to go through some manuals here in a minute. I got to figure out what batteries it takes because I'm not seeing any batteries. So this is one of the surprises that comes with this sort of stuff. Granted, who knows how old this thing is, so the batteries probably weren't good anyways, because typically batteries only have about a 2-year life, especially if they're not being used. They just kind of go bad. So what I'll do for now is probably set this aside while I figure out what batteries it takes, and we'll get that excavator down. But what's cool is
That is cool. Let's do a little bit of research here. This one? Oh yeah, I'm missing a big battery right here, I think. Yeah, I'll take a 1/4 pounder. There's a fire button.
So here's where we're at. We're gonna try to figure out the battery situation. This is a really cool machine, and we can do some really cool stuff with it. We can open doors, we can, travel around at night. We'll do robot stuff either later in this video or in the next video. In the meantime, this is a brand new grass grapple for a skid loader. I bought this for $850 plus shipping and auction fees. I'm probably into it $1,500 by the time I got it here. I think you can go out and buy these things for $2,500, $3,500 brand new. So I saved some money on the purchase, but I really ended up getting something that I really wanted, and I helped fill, a freight load that I was, sending a truck this way anyways for the robot and some of this other stuff. The best thing about buying from auctions is you can start really small. In fact, I remember when I first started getting into the auction business, I was buying cars for $500 at an auction. And for me, that was a huge expense way back in the day, but I was able to take and turn that $500 and sell a car for $1,500 or $2,000, and I could easily double my money just by going to the auction. So it doesn't matter how much cash you have. If you find an item that's $100 and you think you can sell it for $150 on eBay, you can start there. Or if you see something that's on for $1 million and you think you can sell it for $2 million, you can buy it as well. Auctions have a wide range of different products you can buy, and the whole purpose of an auction is you're supposed to be buying it at a better price than you could anywhere else. So if you're gonna resell it, you can make some profit. Now, I realize that this excavator probably looks like we bought it on Temu or Wish.com. Excavators like this are built over in China, and they're built specifically to be just cheap, meaning affordable, low price. So it's not a name brand machine. It probably doesn't have a bunch of big name brand components, although it does, I just noticed, have a Briggs & Stratton motor, which is awesome because Briggs & Stratton is good. It's better than just a no-name Chinese motor that you can't find parts for. So one thing to know about auctions is every auction that you go to is going to have a fee that they're going to charge to both the seller of the item and the buyer. And these fees usually range anywhere from about 5 to 20%. I believe GovPlanet is right around 15%, which means your fee could be anywhere from like $1 to $10,000, and it's just based off of the selling price of the item. So I'll give you an example of one of the items that I bought. The little mini excavator final bid was $6,100. The transaction fee from the auction was $915, and then they had sales tax on there, which is actually going to be removed because we're a Utah dealer and we buy and resell stuff, so we don't have to pay sales tax because the buyer, whoever buys it from us, is going to pay it because we have a sales tax license. $600 in sales tax, so my total price on the mini excavator was $7,600. Remove the $600 that I'll get refunded for the sales tax credit, I'm into it about $7,000, so the fee was $900. And that fee structure basically kind of just scales up and down depending on the buying and selling price. So to be safe, if you're gonna buy from GovPlanet, go ahead and factor in roughly a 15% fee on anything that you buy. So that's gonna be above and beyond your final bid. I've seen these things kind of kicking around. Some other YouTubers and stuff have played with them, but I've never personally owned a machine this small or from this company, whatever the company is. So I'm excited to see how smooth it is, if it actually functions, if it actually moved dirt. You can find these things on the internet for anywhere from 8 to 12 grand. And the reason for that is because these auctions sell quite a few of these. So anybody who needs them usually buys it from the auction unless they don't know about the auction, in which case they come to a person like me and purchase one of these things. So see kind of how it does, show you guys what the performance is for such a cheap mini excavator, because it's brand new, keep in mind.
I will say, I think there's a purpose for all sizes of machinery.
I agree.
I dug a trench last night with a shovel that was the most miserable thing I've done in a long time.
Yep.
And this would have been perfect.
This can pretty much fit anywhere that a couple guys can fit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does she fit?
Perfectly.
The size of it looks like a late night Temu purchase by Heavydsparks, just laying in bed one night.
When I first started buying from the auctions, I was on the auction all the time, day or night. I would wake up at 2 a.m. because I wanted to see if there was a this, that, or the other thing for sale. And I would jump on and I would find it. And the way auctions work is they're either live or they're done via proxy, meaning you can just submit an offer anytime before the auction closes. Whereas a live one, you have to be online, you have to be sitting here watching the screen, listening to the auctioneer and bidding in real time while other people are bidding. And that's how you can be sure you're gonna be able to buy something, because you're not gonna miss it. Whereas if you leave like a proxy bid and just hope that it is the highest amount when the auction ends, you usually get outbid because somebody will wait until the very last minute and they'll outbid you by $10 or $20 or $30. So my advice to anybody trying to bid on an auction is make sure you are at your computer or at the auction in person, ready and available to drop your bids before the item closes, because if you don't, somebody will most likely outbid you, and they usually wait until the last 30 seconds before they drop their final bid, and it's too late for you to be able to get back in.
If he can get that robot to go and fetch me a drink, that'll be the greatest purchase he's ever made.
Do you ever drink water?
Don't drink that crap, man. It's not good for you. I think it causes cancer, actually. I think water causes diabetes. Yeah, that's what it is. The question is, can it get out of its own straps?
Those straps look pretty heavy duty, so I'm gonna go ahead and guess no, but I could be wrong. Bo, jump on there, fire this bad boy up. It's way better built than I expected it to be for $6,000, like way better. The controls are actually like not sloppy and not like brittle plastic. All this stuff looks like it's pretty well built. It's even got like a floor mat, which would only last maybe a day the way that we work. So I'm guessing right here, we've probably got a battery switch. Over here, we've got a key right here. Yep, ready? Want to turn the key, see what happens. Other way. Oh, maybe the battery right here. Try that.
That's like a lawnmower.
It's good. Break the strap motor, yeah. There we go. Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds like a lawnmower. Ah! Look at that. Turn it with this one. Ooh. That's so fast.
I think next time I'll just clean it up myself.
I'm thoroughly impressed. What do you think, bud? You like it? It's like the perfect size for him. And the cool thing about this is like it's great for somebody who's doing like small around the yard jobs, sprinkler systems, things like that. This would be great for trenching sprinkler lines. It has a thumb, but it doesn't have a cylinder for it, so it's just a fixed thumb. However, it looks like it has hydraulic lines. So you could put a ram here for the thumb. So we could put a ram here and have a full hydraulic thumb. That's about it. It's a little jerky on the forward and reverse, but the best thing that my kids could possibly do this summer is learn how to run equipment and get outside and work and just be in the dirt, be in the sun, be kids and run equipment. I mean, does it get any better than that? Remember, I bought that thinking that'd be a cool thing for my kids to learn how to operate and spend more time running equipment. So I was willing to spend a little bit more because I wanted it. I didn't necessarily, need it to be able to buy and resell. So I'm looking online, and it's looking like a lot of these excavators are selling across the country, you know, identical FF12 models for $6,900 all the way up to like $8,500. That's about what I'm into mine by the time I got it shipped here. So let's say worst case scenario, I just want to sell that machine. Well, I could probably sell it here locally tomorrow, and since there's none located in the state of Utah, I have a little bit of an upper hand because anybody who buys one of these is going to have to ship it in from somewhere else, but I already paid for the shipping and already have it here. So I bet you I could sell that machine for about $800 to $8,500 here locally, like pretty quickly, and that would allow me to make about $1,000 to $1,500 on it. But I also get a chance to put my kids on it and let them run it and have fun with it, and it's just an overall cool experience. And really, that purchase was driven a lot by curiosity because I wanted to see if it was a total pile of crap or if it was actually a functioning, usable piece of equipment. Mini excavator definitely is probably the most exciting at the moment. I am excited about the robot. I just wish it came with the batteries. I'll have to track those down. I looked on the internet to try to find batteries for the robot. Turns out it's a very specialty battery. It's not just any old, 6 or 12 volt battery that you can go buy from the auto parts store. They are built specifically by one company, and the reason for that is because they have different sensors and they have the ability to charge all 6 batteries together on the robot rather than having to pull them out individually and charge them. So I'm seeing them about $800 for brand new, and the ones I just found on eBay, which are new, they're just overstock, so they've never been used. They're not too old. Looks like they got good life left. Got them for $200 a piece. So we're gonna have a nice set of 4 brand new batteries, and if the buyer, whoever buys it from us, wants more, we can track down some more and give them a whole set of 6. This right here, pretty self-explanatory, straightforward. We'll throw it on the skid loader a little bit later, show you exactly what this thing's used for and whether it's any good or not. So right here, I know that I'm making money already if I sell the stuff. I'm like my best customer, my own very best customer, which is not a great thing when you're trying to buy and sell stuff.
I think being your own best customer is just called a hoarder.
Yes.
How are we doing on storage space?
Oof, touchy subject. Next question.
This is an aircraft cargo loading truck, pretty much brand new. I think this thing has like a couple hundred hours on it, and it's just military surplus. It was sitting around. So now we're gonna get over here and go through the hydraulics, see if it like lifts, lowers, does all of its tricks that it's supposed to do. You may be wondering, what am I gonna do with this thing? The answer is anything I want. I paid around $12,000 for this truck plus shipping to get it here. It's either gonna be one that I end up not being able to sell and I just kind of have forever and we turn into something crazy, or it's gonna be something that somebody needs right away and they've been looking for one forever and it's gonna sell and it's gonna make really good money. I think this thing right here, in good condition, running, functioning to the right buyer, is worth every bit of 40, maybe 50 grand. First, we're gonna test and see if it works.
Most things he purchases, they usually have like a good, like, oh hey, this is good, it's a 5-ton. Every rancher wants a 5-ton military truck, or like a crane truck. Everyone can use a crane truck.
You can use giant cranes for everything. You can use it for a rope swing, you can use it for work, you can use it to put your brother's car on the roof, you can do all sorts of different things.
This? Yeah, I don't know. I actually though, it's pretty cool. I wanna really just go for a ride right now.
If the hydraulics are working, it should be able to lift up. Basically, it's got everything that you would expect a truck to have: speedometer, tachometer, steering wheel, gas, brake, parking brake, gear shifter, and then these are all the hydraulic components. So these right here and these right here are gonna make that bed go up. We're going. It's almost as tall as my roof. Wow, look at that. This thing's like 20 feet in the air.
I just saw a bolt fall and hit the ground.
Pretty close to about 20 feet in the air. I'm gonna get an exact measurement here in a minute. This is all like guardrails that'll go off to the side here. So the deck will be clear, but all these rollers and all these little wheels have motors. And so you can just move the cargo back and forth on a pallet. It's actually pretty slick.
I like the fork sleeves.
Yeah, that's nice. Got fork sleeves. Oh yeah, that's actually a great idea because when you load this with a pallet, you put your forks there and get them out without it getting stuck.
Hey.
So
So the deck rises to about 13 feet, and there's still some more buttons I haven't pushed yet, so we're gonna go push those and see what it does, but it's she's got some pretty good lift on her. This is wild suspension. It's designed to obviously lift up, straighten down, but it also has a leaning function, so you can tilt it. You can also shift the bed one side or the other. You can lower the front, leave the rear up, lower the rear, leave the front up. It's got some serious maneuverability, and what's cool, it's complete. It's got everything here. It's got an 8.2 liter GM diesel motor, which sounds like a little monster truck engine. It sounds kind of throaty, kind of cool. Worst case scenario, if I had to part this out, the amount of hydraulic parts on this are worth some serious money. AS32H5 aircraft loader. That's the large platform that goes up and down. And I'm trying to do some market research to see if there's any for sale or what the value is, because that's ultimately how you establish the value of this type of equipment. Since there's no Kelly Blue Book or NADA for equipment like that, you basically just have to go online, type in the model and search around and see who has one for sale or if one's been sold at an auction, because a lot of auctions have old results still online for quite a while. So I can go back and look at something that sold 2-3 years ago and see what the value was then versus what it is now. The aircraft loader, I'm not finding many comps, meaning comparable items. So the good and the bad thing about that is I get to set the price. So I can set the price. This is how I made a lot of money in the early days of my business, is I would buy items that there was really only 1 or 2 of kind of anywhere in the country. Unique trucks, unique pieces of equipment. And when you have something that nobody else has, you control the market on it. So I can set the price kind of wherever I want, and then I can just work my way down from there. But realistically, I'm into that aircraft loader, 12 grand on the purchase price plus shipping to get it here. I'm into it just shy of 20. I think that thing sells for 40 to 50 all day long to the right buyer. And worst case scenario, if I just want to make some quick cash on it and flip it tomorrow, I'll bet you I could sell it today or tomorrow for 25, maybe even 30 grand. So there's money to be made on it.
Oh, I'm sure you guys are asking for a tattoo tour,
Check it out. Is that a tattoo you got?
Oh, this old girl here? Is that Poseidon? Yeah, that's Poseidon. It's fake.
So I think we have it in driving mode now. We've got the rear prop rods in place. We've got the front ones in place. I'm gonna figure out how to get these bed components in place.
Just trying to get the skirts on the sides. They're kind of in the way up there, so I know if we set them down, they'll never get back on the machine again. So we're trying to put them in their rightful place. However, they don't fit too well, so just kind of playing the shuffle right now. I think there's a whole other side we still need to put on too, and then we're gonna drive this bad boy. It's a rose, it's a clock, or a compass, I don't know, because it's too faded to see. It's a dove.
Why'd you get a fake tattoo?
To scare my mom. And I just broke her the news. I think she put my name on the temple prayer roll.
Which one do you have on your lower back?
Is this a butterfly?
Do you actually have a butterfly tattoo?
That's also putting me and the men upstairs. Built for a late night tattoo purchase. Rough plan there.
Now the next test we're gonna do is drive it down the road. This thing runs really well. Cruises about 25 miles an hour max speed at 2,500 RPM. I think it's a 2-speed transmission. It's way faster than I thought it'd be. The suspension is these big hydraulic rams right here, and those have load mode and travel mode. So load mode is what they're in now, where they're completely all the way down, so it's basically metal on metal. Travel mode, you flip it up and it puts hydraulic oil on these shocks, and you have basically hydraulic shocks so you can drive around. I was super bumpy on the way over here because this front line is blown out, so I'm not getting any front suspension. But the rear, I filled with hydraulic oil and I felt it smooth out a ton. And we saved the best for last, and the biggest too. Right behind me is a 25-ton truck-mounted all-terrain crane. This crane is legit, and you're never gonna believe what I paid for it. The original purchase price from the Army, the tag says $194,500. I paid 5 grand. I paid more to ship it here than I paid for the crane itself. So I'm into this thing probably about 12 grand, and it's supposed to be complete. I think the crane is something that I can turn and sell for a pretty good profit because it's like brand new. Even though it looks old, it only has a few hundred hours total time in use on it, which means the engine, all the hydraulic components, all the mechanical components are like almost brand new.
which is a lot of value to the right buyer.
This is a scary one because the auction said that it does not run because the fluids have been drained, batteries removed. Basically, the Army or whoever was using it last put it in storage. I'm hoping there was a mechanical problem, that they found there was an issue and they decided to get rid of it because of that. It's usually not the case. When they're torn apart, you can usually tell that they've been completely disassembled while somebody's trying to figure out whether it was worth fixing or not. This one seems to be complete. This thing is a big crane, big piece of equipment. Granted, 25 tons isn't that heavy, but it's got a 3-piece boom, which means it has a really far reach. I'm gonna guess it probably has about a 75, 80-foot reach. It's got the big hydraulic outriggers. It's 8-wheel drive. The tires have seen better days, although they're not really worn out. They're just kind of weathered. I believe this is a 3208 V8 engine, and this engine drives both the crane and the truck. So it basically has a big hydraulic pump and a PTO. You can switch that so that it'll drive the transmission, so you can drive the whole rig around, or you can send hydraulic power straight back to the crane and just run the crane.
I've been doing a little bit of research on the crane to figure out what's available, and the Army has recently sold quite a few of these over the last few years, so there's more of them available online to be able to track the pricing and see what they're bringing. And I see these cranes selling for anywhere between 20 grand on the really rough side, like much rougher than my crane, all the way up to 40, 50 grand for nice clean ones. So that's got me thinking that I could put a little bit of money into the crane, get it up and running, maybe even do a paint job, I'm not sure, but just make it nice and make it fully functional. And I think we'll get somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. And I think it's gonna sell quick for that because it's not too big that you can't transport it. And it's also not so small that you can't use it for anything but tiny jobs. It's a good size crane with good components, good cat engine. I think it's a winner.
Let's say that this didn't run and I had a major problem with it. Somebody would still probably pay 8 to 10 grand for just the parts, but I think it's gonna be a complete unit and I think it's gonna run. And with this thing up and running, I can probably sell this for every bit of $30,000, $40,000. If we paint it and make it really nice, might be able to get a little bit more. Loading up the mini excavator and taking it up to my house to test it out. See if it can actually move dirt and rocks and stuff, or if it's just a big paperweight.
Yeah, right.
All right,
Tailgate.
Bring that down here for on the hitch. Boom down. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Right there, a little more. All right.
Definitely sounds like every one of the Toros I've ever rode on.
That looks way better, way too cool. Like, I don't know why I like that so much. Just found the fuel tank, and it's literally the size of a lawnmower fuel tank. Might even be smaller. We just filled it up and it's a 1.6 gallon capacity. It may not have very long run time, but it also may not consume a ton of fuel. It might just be like a lawnmower. So we're gonna unload the mini excavator from the back of my Cybertruck, and there's no great lifting points from it. So we're gonna try to lift from the top of the cage. I'm gonna put a little pressure on it. If it starts to bend, I'm gonna let it back down and we'll re-rig it. I think it'll work. It'll work.
Try to slide it all forward. I mean, I'll just move the Cybertruck if anything.
Bad. Kind of bent this little roof panel a little bit, but that's not a big deal. We can straighten that back out. It lifted pretty well. That's the thing I really like about this, is it's so small. I think it only weighs like maybe 1,800 pounds. A helicopter, like a Huey, hell, even an A-Star might even be able to lift this thing up. Like having a little tractor that you can fly into places. I mean, this thing might be worth keeping for some of those crazy recoveries where we need a piece of equipment, but there's no way to drive it in there, but we could fly it.
Excavator, this would be me, you know?
About 4 shovel loads is what it took to fill the bucket up. One thing I'm gonna do if I end up keeping this is put a hydraulic thumb on it. I might even put that on regardless, because that'll help this thing sell better. But let's do some digging.
Taking me like 5 hours.
So this is really hard packed clay. The backyard here is this is all native soil right here. So we're gonna show you what that would take to do with the shovel. Go ahead, Hans.
What you want me to do is try to dig them?
Yeah, with the square inch shovel. You can even dig in that same hole. Just show them how hard packed that is.
Well, it's still.
That's
pretty sticky.
it's
It's
like
literally
saying
impossible. This is better than a shovel. Are we in agreement? Not much better than a shovel, but it's better. We're gonna see. We're gonna dig a little bit more. And it's broken.
First malfunction.
Did you get the extended warranty on this?
There's not even a full hour on her yet.
There's not. This is where the cheap Chinese plastic starts to become an issue. Like there's these tiny little tabs that hold things into place, and one little tab breaks, and then all of a sudden your whole ignition doesn't work, or whatever that little tab was holding. The blade is very, very aggressive. Look how fast it goes up and down, even at idle. Like that's at high speed. Way too fast.
Nose endo right here. I knew it.
Not crazy impressive, but for a machine this size and for this kind of money, I'm pretty impressed. That's probably a 500-pound rock. On a scale from 1 to 10, for the value for the money, to be able to get a machine that can do this, I'm gonna give it an 8. Overall build quality, I'm gonna give it like a 7.5 on the build. Now I'm gonna give it an 8 because it really is, it doesn't feel super cheap. On performance, I'm gonna put it at a 6. The blade is way too fast. It needs proportional controls. That's why I just threw the rock like crazy, because I went to just barely move the stick and it wasn't moving, and then it engaged and it just basically went full open, and it's very jerky, I guess is what I'm saying. Another thing I really don't like is it doesn't have a seat belt. It almost launched me out because there's no seat belt. So I'm definitely not putting my kids in here until I've got a seat belt for them. Average score is 7.66, and I think that's pretty fair. So with that said, we're gonna move on to testing the next product, which is the skid loader grapple bucket. The Minotaur is a 20,000 pound skid loader with steel tracks, and it has incredible power. A lot of guys that have bought these are having issues because they're breaking their buckets, because a regular duty skid loader bucket will literally just bend in the middle. They make these extra heavy duty buckets specifically for this machine, and it's worked significantly better. But even with this bucket, I'm lifting some of these big boulders and it's like kind of getting a little bit of a smile bending at the bottom. can't get the clamshell to open and close. I barely got it to open because I used a hydraulic line that's made for the dozer attachment that's not on here right now. So what I need to do is get the adapters to be able to plug those hydraulic fittings into these larger ones on the machine. Then I'll be able to open and close it. Good news, Alan has got the crane pretty much ready to attempt to start. We got the fluids in the engine, transmission, hydraulics. We have not had a chance to put fluids in the differentials and the planetaries yet, but that's fine. We can still start it without that. We just won't be able to drive it. More importantly, we can see if that crane is actually gonna function. This thing could have been sitting for 5, 6, 10 years. They're saying 10 years. They're seeing date tags on this. So there's a chance this thing hasn't been started for 10 years.
I wouldn't say that's a good sign.
This is a heavy duty set of jumper cables that's designed for 24 volt trucks and equipment, mostly military style stuff. Bigger cables, and it's got a much better connector that makes a solid connection. Trying to start it, we're pulling a lot of amperage out of those brand new batteries. So ideally this sends enough power to break that starter free. I think what's happening is the motor could have some moisture in it, and it's kind of started to rust the cylinders and the piston rings to the walls. So they're just kind of like lightly stuck, but if we're able to break that free, it'll basically clean the cylinders out itself if we get it running. Pretty much every military truck or piece of equipment has this NATO style plug on it. And you just pop it on like that. The extra juice from the slave cable has got this motor cranking. So we're gonna hit it with a little bit of starter fluid and just kind of crank on it, try to prime the fuel, and it should fire up here in a second.
Fuel in here. Going.
And it's not even blowing a bunch of crazy smoke. It just needed fuel. I love that. That motor sounds brand new. Now we got to see if the hydraulic pumps are working. Good look. Well guys, good news. The crane runs and it seems to function pretty well. Obviously it's been sitting for a long time, so there's a bunch of stuff that's not working. A bunch of the levers are sticky. So I was able to get the boom to go up, but when I pushed the lever to go forward to go down, it just didn't respond at all. It's like completely sloppy in there. So those valves might be bad. They might need to be stuck. They might need to be replaced. I'm not sure yet. Engine sounds good. Hydraulics are working to a certain extent. The next test is going to be, we're going to get some differential and some planetary fluid in the axles so that we can actually test it out and drive it. We'll see how it drives and then take it from there. I spent roughly $30,000. On that $30,000 investment, I am pretty confident that on the low end, we'll be able to make about $25,000 to $30,000 profit, but that number could be a lot higher if the crane ends up being as nice as I think it is. Meaning we could make that $25,000, $30,000 profit on the crane alone, and the profit from the other 4 items will all just be gravy on top of that. Really, anybody can do this. And you don't have to spend $25,000, $30,000. You can go find a $100 or $200 item that you can turn around and sell for $300 or $400. Start small, figure out a way to double your money, do some market research, and get involved, because this is an incredible side hustle that could become a full-time gig for you. Now, I realize in this video we weren't able to show you what those items all sold for, but we will keep you updated in some upcoming videos on, you know, what kind of money they bring and what this deal shakes out to be overall. But I really hope you guys get into this and give it a shot, because I would love to see what you end up buying. So if you do, drop a comment below. So with that said, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you guys in the next one.